Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Zeng This.
You got me, Zenger.
And I'm Ellie.
And we're going to start off today, of course, as we normally do, with some geeky news.
Yay, I love news.
So I feel like this is a weekly update on what's going on in the DC cinematic universe right now.
Oh, DC.
So the most recent update is that they found a director for
Batman.
Exactly. And it is
Not Ben Affleck.
Matt Reeves,
Nice.
who has done the reboot or reimagining of the Planet of the Apes. So Rise, Dawn, and War of the Planet of the Apes series, which those have been good. They've done a really good job at telling the story and everything. So I'm hoping that this is in capable hands. Apparently there's some rumors that there's a whole entire script rewrite, but hey, I need to save something for next week's update on what's going on in the DC universe.
That works for me.
So now that we're done with DC,
Can I jump in?
sure, go for it.
Okay. Super stoked about the Marvel Infinity trailer.
Well, featurette, I guess.
Yes.
I mean, it showed an image of Rocket and
Thor.
I know, but something interesting. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but he is wielding his axe.
Yes.
Which is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. If you know what I'm talking about, then
Mjolnir.
Yes, but he has an axe that he had before Mjolnir that you see in one hand, but just off the screen you see another hand raised, which I'm assuming is wielding Mjolnir. I'm assuming.
Can I just say again how excited I am to see Rocket?
Oh yeah, and Rocket's of course firing like two guns, one's in each hand.
I'm so excited. I love Guardians. Love them. So it's kind of
cool to see the team
I'll take
up.
as much Guardians as I can get.
Yeah, so they're going to have their own movie and then they're going to team up on Earth
Yes.
to fight, of course, Thanos.
Yes.
Which, an interesting thing I've been reading about recently is that apparently the main character of Infinity War is going to be Thanos. Now, of course, everyone's probably like, well, duh, but I've heard that the story's actually, you're supposed to be centering around him more. So it's more from his
Perspective?
I don't think perspective, but you're going to get filled in a lot more on what he's doing. Which, if you read Infinity Gauntlet...
Who is Thanos?
If you read the Infinity Gauntlet comic...
Yes.
That is how it's kind of portrayed a lot, is you get a lot of stuff from his point of view, and you kind of get the heroes reacting to what he does.
Right.
So, I think that's interesting. But that's not all Marvel's given us recently. Which I guess will get us into talking about the final Defender has been revealed.
Netflix.
Original with
Yes.
Iron Fist, which looks really...
I'm going to say the other ones have not disappointed.
Can Netflix go wrong?
Not yet.
Apparently not. Of course, they have that coming out, which that looks.
Yes.
The trailer looks very good. I'm
Right.
excited for that. So can't wait to binge watch that or marathon that.
Yeah, and I'm going to admit I'm not a huge. I don't have a lot of knowledge on Iron Fist, so it'll be a nice learning experience for me.
When I say vaguely knowledgeable, I know who he is, and I know he's very much teamed up with
Luke Cage.
Yes,
And Daredevil.
with Luke Cage mostly,
Cage,
the
okay.
hero for hire thing.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
excited.
about my knowledge on him, and I know that he's a master of martial arts and has Iron Fist.
Ooh, that apparently glows.
Yes. But staying with Netflix.
Oh, me.
Yes, go for it.
Tag me in. So, there was a fantastic announcement that finally season 2 of
7 Deadly Sins.
Yes. You and I just
Blew through that.
Yeah, we railed through the first season. It was really awesome for all of our listeners out there. I had seen it and I started watching it and I thought it looked really cool. And then somebody was watching and went, "Whoa, that looks neat too." So I actually started over so we could watch it together. But that's how excited Zenger was when he started watching it.
I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Definitely a great anime if you haven't seen it before. If you like magic, stuff like that. A good character development too, I think. They do a really good job with the characters.
And it's neat how they have King Arthur and Merlin. You know, just the way they have their own portrayals of these people.
Exactly.
It's kind of cool.
Also, this does not have any filler to it, really. It's all story-driven,
Right.
since it's following the manga pretty page for page.
Yeah, we highly recommend it. You know, go watch the first season.
Once again, that's the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, to prepare for the new season. Now, the trailer really didn't give you too much detail in the story.
No, it was a lot of flashbacks.
Yes, but it still looks really cool.
I'm sure that will come up later in a future podcast, possibly an Anime Corner makes a return.
Well, I have something in the works.
You have said that.
Yes.
So we'll see where that goes.
Yes.
I guess I'm going to say sticking with anime, because I'm saying this in fairness. Adult Swim had an announcement that a lot of us have known about, but
Yes.
the
Samurai.
Jack is back, and it looked awesome.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
It's looking more adult themed,
Yes.
which
He's a little haggard.
yeah, that too. The trailer kind of explains everything, but apparently it's 50 years in the future, and he hasn't aged somehow still, which I guess there's some story behind that.
Well, it said time doesn't affect him.
Yes.
In the trailer, so.
Yes, so that's interesting, but of course, Aku and everyone's still after him, so there's still that to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited about that. That's something that I guess will play into our main topic that we'll get to in a minute. But the nostalgia thing, that was definitely a show I really enjoyed as a kid. And I thought they did an amazing job with it. It was very, I guess, story-driven in, like, story points. There wasn't very much dialogue normally. And
Very artistic.
Yeah, and I really like that. This one, I'm sure they're going to have a little bit more dialogue maybe, which I don't mind.
It seems like it, yeah.
But they need to, I guess, flesh out the story more. So we'll see what happens. Finally, with something else I'm excited about, and I know this is kind of just me just segueing this in here, just shoving it in. Netflix, once again, I guess we're just pandering to Netflix.
We are not paid by Netflix, by the way.
We are not. We just are really enjoying everything they are doing right now.
Yeah, they're knocking it out of the park recently.
So, Bill Nye is back.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Speaking of nostalgia.
I know. It's just perfect how this played into our topic that we will be discussing very shortly.
He's awesome.
But he's coming back, and it looks like that's going to be a really fun show.
And I like the way the spin of the show kind of really gives it a more like hip, up-to-date type of
His stuff
to
was
it.
always hip and up to date. And you can watch it now, and you're like, wow, that is 90s, but...
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, you know, how he incorporates a lot of the, you know, people, like celebrities and other people today. So it's definitely... there was a little bit of a racy topic.
Ooh.
With the, you know...
Yeah. So definitely check out
maybe
that.
For all ages now.
Definitely check out that trailer if you're a big fan of Bill Nye and everything. I can't wait to see it come back. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know that's not really. I mean, I guess we cover pop culture and geek culture, so I guess Bill Nye would fit right in there.
You can't not mention Bill Nye.
Exactly. So our topic today, which we'll get to after the break, is us discussing nostalgic movies and TV shows that have made kind of a comeback. I'm sure I'm going to be explaining this in the beginning of the topic as well, but just wanted to let you guys know that that's our big topic today, and we'll see you guys on the other side of this break. This is
Zeng This.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Our discussion today is going to involve, of course, me, Zenger.
Me, Ellie.
Rob.
And we are discussing nostalgic stuff that has sort of made a resurgence or they've done remakes of recently that we found nostalgic when we were younger. So, I mean, broad strokes here, but hopefully it will be a lot of fun. So, I guess we could start with Rob has some stuff, but...
So, generally speaking, what do you guys think? Is it a good idea or a bad idea to, like, make nostalgic things...
Again?
Yeah, to bring them...
It depends on the franchise. I mean, I'm going to be talking about Transformers in one light, where I'm probably going to be talking about Voltron in a different one. We, of course, have Power Rangers coming out soon, which, I mean, who knows on that one? So, I mean, it can be anything. It just depends on your, like, how you feel about the original, like, what the original made you feel when you first watched it when you were younger.
That's a fair point.
So you guys want to start, since we did bring up I'll get
Well,
the Transformers.
I kind of wanted to say something on what Rob said as well, though.
Okay.
You know, haters gonna hate,
Yeah.
and people can complain on the internet and everywhere else that, oh, remakes shouldn't be made, blah blah blah. But guess what? Most of the time, they actually do pretty decently in the box office. So if people didn't want to see them so bad, why they go?
Oh, I guess we should.
I'm just saying.
We should make sure to point out that we are focusing on movies and TV shows for this.
Yes.
Yes. We could do a whole different one on gaming and other stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
another time, we are focusing more heavily on TV shows and movies.
Yep.
For this.
So my general thought is, my thoughts. I'm usually the first one to be against whenever they announce something's being remade. That being said, though, I'm also guilty of liking certain remakes. I think it's one thing in particular that is okay is when, like, someone does a book and then someone else wants to remake that. And
So basically, maybe follow the story. Is the book better than the...
or interpret it different, or however, like, examples of when this is done well is when they did Red Dragon, which was a remake of Manhunter. Bram Stoker's Dracula was good. The remake of True Grit. Examples of when this doesn't work is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I will definitely agree with that.
And the remake of Carrie, I was disappointed in because the director claimed she would be following the book, and she said it was like her interpretation of the book more so than a remake of the movie. But anyone who's read the book and seen the original knows just a remake of the movie.
I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for me is something I remember. I remember actually watching it in school. And
The original.
Yeah,
Willy Wonka.
Sorry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder in it, and that. I mean, they had the new one, and it just took a drastic detour from the original one. That even if it followed the book more, it's not what I was remembering from my childhood as something. And that one scene in the tunnel was just still a nightmare fuel.
I think they've pointed out it touched on some things that weren't in the original that were in the book, but then it also added some new things. Of course, the remake of It is coming out soon, and I'm excited because this is a great opportunity for them to do something right. And I watched the original, which was a movie I loved when I was a kid, but I watched it recently, and it just does not hold up at all. The acting is terrible. The special effects are terrible. The only reason worth watching that movie is to watch Tim Curry chew the scenery.
And chewing it, he does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool that one is getting a remake. It's coming out later this year.
I'm not 100% sure. I just know they've shown the new images of Pennywise.
That's definitely, I mean, if anyone has fear of clowns and stuff, I think that they can definitely trace it probably back to watching it as a kid.
I don't know. The clown from Poltergeist.
Oh,
That was a freaky little thing.
And Poltergeist is another one that has been remade recently that a lot of people, that was probably their first, horror movie to watch.
That for
or
me,
paranormal movie to watch.
That sticks out in my head as one of the first horror movies or paranormal, whatever you want to classify it as. That was definitely one of the first ones I was allowed to watch.
I guess on that I guess we're kind of talking about horror movies that scared us as kids. Alien for me was one, and that's getting Alien Covenant made, and I guess Prometheus technically would count as sort of a resurgence of that. So I mean, I remember that always used to terrify me as a kid. That being said, though, in all honesty, now as an adult, I do like Aliens a lot more than Alien.
Oh, okay.
And maybe that's just me being scared of it as a kid, but I like the other one a lot better because I feel it. I feel it holds up better as an action movie.
I could go on a huge rant about the whole series of movies, but I'm glad a lot of it's going back to the idea behind the first movie, and they're having that like really weird, unique feel that the first one had.
Well, with that, there also is, of course, you can't have Alien without Predator. Predator is also getting a reboot.
I love the original Predator.
With Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not going to try to do an
did.
impression. My
Oh,
voice is just
geez,
coming
no.
back, so
Get to the chopper.
Thank you. So, I mean
Yeah.
that was a great one. I remember watching as a kid, and that was that was one that I felt was really fun. It was very macho bro-y.
Yeah.
But before that was a thing, I feel, and very one-liner cliche, and it changes tone very quickly, if I remember correctly.
That starts out as like a military action movie, then turns into like a sci-fi.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you would be going into, I guess, expecting that. So that was interesting. And I mean, they got the new one coming out. They did have Predators come out recently.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that.
I mean, I don't think it was bad. It's just, I mean, it's a lot of these movies, they're kind of making a resurgence now. So that's
I thought Predator 2 was fun.
the ending, I thought, helped the universe a lot more by hinting at certain things.
I thought Danny Glover and Gary Busey were both good in that.
So,
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Danny Glover is also Danny Glover.
So speaking of nostalgic movies, I guess another one, this one just popped into my head now that we're talking about Schwarzenegger. I'm sure everyone watched as a kid or when they were younger Total Recall. Probably shouldn't have, but
Oh yeah.
but I mean that got a remake that was received.
The three boobed lady.
Remaking Schwarzenegger movies is an iffy idea.
Yeah.
Well, the remake was completely different.
Different.
Yeah, so.
Which I think we brought that up before. Wasn't
Yeah.
that was from Philip K. Dick's story. So yeah, so that's another mention of that. If you want to know what we're talking about there, go listen to when a book becomes books that you might not have known movies that you might not have known were based
from
on books.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, sorry. Then you can check out that episode, of course, on our backlog. I guess we brought up Power Rangers, and I feel like I want to discuss Power Rangers real quick because I feel like that's
please.
everyone here had that, and as
Whether
a
you
child,
admit it or not.
Oh,
Yes.
I will totally admit that I rushed home from school to go
Absolutely.
watch it.
everybody did.
Ran off the bus.
Yes.
I remember the movie a lot. Ivan Ooze, all that stuff, having the toys and everything. But I'm gonna let you guys talk because I want mine to lead. I want my discussion on Power Rangers
You
to
want
lead.
the final word.
No, I wanted to lead into something else that also
Okay.
involves giant robots combining.
Oh. I wonder what that is.
Yes.
You know, like I think the movie is going to be a lot of fun. It's something that needs to be brought to a new generation. Like I hope kids nowadays can feel the same way about Power Rangers as I did as a kid.
Exactly. And I mean, is it something that you need to take seriously going into this?
No.
No.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem is
Yeah.
people might go into this new movie trying to take it as a serious thing, and they're going to be like, this is awful. And it's like,
Yeah,
that doesn't-
overanalyzing
That
it,
doesn't
yeah.
mean make a garbage movie, but it's not
Right.
something I'm going to put on the same level as like Citizen Kane and The Godfather. Like,
It's not Academy Award winning.
but I do want it to be fun, and I like that they're going back to like the original 5 because it gives them an opportunity to make a sequel and bring in the Green Ranger.
I think that's definitely. I mean, Power Rangers had still gone on. I think since all of us kind of left the. I mean, I kind of left after the movie,
There's been so many
and they've done so much stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're going to the original stuff because that's what a lot of us remember and know. And I'm sure that anyone can kind of speak of the first time they were introduced to it. But I remember the original one in the U.S. I know that it was based off of a Japanese show, and like I said, I never saw it from there, but.
I mean, Bryan Cranston's playing Zordon. That's a dream come true.
Exactly. So like I said, that should be fun. Like I said, it should be fun. Am I saying it's good? No, I'm saying it's fun. And that's the point here. We're just trying to say that, it will bring back those memories of being a kid watching, having to run home from school and watching
Yeah.
it. So I guess we can move on now to
go
another
ahead.
giant robots combining.
You're dying over there.
Pacific Rim.
Close. Giant lions combining. Yes, Netflix original series Voltron, which I remember watching as a kid, and I loved that show. And I kind of went back and tried to watch some of it. It is aged. I'm not going to say poorly. It's just
That's why we have the Netflix original.
Exactly, and I feel it's done such a great job of, I don't even feel I need to go back and watch the original because I have just fallen in love with the new version and what they've taken the concept and moved it forward and have just been so progressive with it. Pidge being a girl, a lot of the stuff they've done to change it to make it more.
Well, and they're very in the now. Like they will reference stuff that kids would know nowadays.
And that's cool because I remember watching this when I was a kid, and it would be something great to watch with my kids now. And that's the cool thing, and that's one of the big things about this nostalgia boom that's happening is, I'm not saying that's happening right now, I'm saying that nostalgia coming back is something to where a lot of people remember stuff from when they were kids, and now they want to share with their kids, or it brings them back to a simpler time when crushing bills and jobs weren't all the things that were on your mind. No, I mean, like I said, I really like the Netflix show, so I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. You don't have to watch the original, and that's another plus in that, in my opinion. It sets up its own mythos.
Well, and the first episode of the first season is like almost a movie length.
Yeah, and it gives enough nods to the original, which I think is great, but while being its own thing, which is, like I said, that's something to where they took the nostalgia of, you remember this, but let's give you this.
Right.
So I'm going to continue on this trend of robots and stuff, and I'm going to do Transformers now. Because
of course you are.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to jump in with that. I know that you guys are going to go on some other stuff, but I want to get Transformers out there because this is kind of a weird contradiction I'm about to make, to where I said the, whole thing with Voltron, I'm going to take a flip side with the Transformers. So, of course, Transformers has still been around in different TV show iterations, but, of course, the newer movies done by Michael Bay have brought it really back into the public view. And, I mean, these things are making money hand over fist, no matter how, quote-unquote, terrible they are. As somebody who grew up on Transformers and loved the original show, like, I love the first season. I love the movie. I remember watching it. My older brother, would, had me watch it with him. And I just fell in love with this movie and this genre of, just how awesome it was. And in my opinion, you can redo the fight between Megatron and Optimus Prime 1,000,000 times. Nothing is going to beat that fight in the movie. Because to me, that is the iconic fight of
the animated movie.
Yeah, the animated 1986 movie. Nothing will beat that fight. I don't care if there's animation issues in it. I don't care. That's what I'm nostalgic for. I love that. Because when I think of Megatron versus Prime, I don't think of the new movies. I think of that exact scene and how much it meant to me as a kid. Because I remember as a kid watching that. And I'll admit it, I cried when Prime died. Like, it was not it was not something that you were expecting to happen.
Spoiler alert.
In the first, I mean, it happened in the first, I think, 30 minutes of the movie he went down. And it was just like, I mean, I remember that, like, vividly. And that's why I love those movies so much. I mean, the new ones are what they are. Do I enjoy them? Yeah, I'll watch them. But the thing is, no matter what they do, it does not ruin that image in my mind of the first time I watched Transformers and my enjoyment of it as a kid. And I say that kind of going off of the Voltron thing because the Voltron, I remember it as a kid, but I feel like the new stuff has just brought out a whole new,
I kind of like Transformers Prime. Have you seen that?
I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah,
but
I like the way it's the animation style. It's kind of cool.
I'll admit the animation for the old stuff has aged.
Yeah.
Like an older series has.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I love it.
That's in the old cartoon.
It's cheesy. Yeah. It's dumb. It was just trying to sell me on toys. But you know what? That is nostalgia. That is the definition of nostalgia for me. If someone goes, "What's nostalgic for you?" I'll be like Transformers, hands down.
I never really got into Transformers as a kid. As far as the new movies go, from someone that didn't, I knew what they were, but I didn't grow up with them but I like the movies. I haven't seen the fourth one, but I think they get more hate than they deserve.
I mean, I'll agree with you. They're obviously making money somehow. They wouldn't keep putting them out and putting them out. So
yeah, no matter what, people are paying to
everybody
see these.
wants to see the fight scenes, the big action.
And I mean,
scenes,
like
so.
I said, by me saying the whole thing about nothing will beat the Optimus Prime Megatron fight,
Yeah.
there are a lot of cool stuff. But for me, that is my iconic moment of the
Yeah.
series to me.
I just like to think Michael Bay is sitting there laughing at the critics with his multi-millions of dollars.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was saying kind of earlier is the fact that, people sit there and say that, they hate remakes, but these people wouldn't be making all this money off of these remakes if people weren't going and seeing it. So they're enabling.
Yeah, they are.
So with that, I mean, I guess we can move on now. I've gotten my Transformers spiel out. I can get down off my transforming soapbox.
Oh, well, I would like to kind of say there's a couple of them on my list, and it's kind of funny that they all have the same person involved with it. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that all of these are I cried to, like you did.
I'm just saying, I was a kid.
I'm just thinking.
Think about it. I'm a kid watching Optimus Prime.
Right.
He's my hero, and
I
then
know.
he dies.
Worse than Bambi's mother.
I could care less about that.
Oh, that's just terrible. Or that I ran home from school for. But some stuff, like some movies back in the day where I loved Big Trouble in Little China.
Which is getting a remake.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? I'm not saying it needs a remake. I'm saying it is. I know. And guess who's playing the lead role?
Not Kurt Russell, unfortunately.
No. Dwayne
The Rock
Johnson.
Johnson.
Hold on, Rob. I got more.
Okay.
So then, of course, I'm sure most people have heard of Baywatch. It's just really funny with the Hasselhoff and
Okay, I'm excited about that one.
Pamela Anderson. It was really iconic when that show was out, and they're remaking that with guess who's playing Hasselhoff's role?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
What? Excuse me? And then Jumanji. A lot of people liked that movie back in the day. Dwayne Johnson. Again.
I'd
Like
like to
what?
point out another one. I don't know if you have it on your list, but since I was talking about Transformers went hand in hand with another show back in that time, G.I. Joe, which,
Yeah.
what did G.I. Joe's sequel have in it? Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So we think he's been the king of
nostalgia.
of nostalgic remakes. I
When they
guess.
involve older shows. I'm not going to mention video games.
No.
Doom.
Oh yeah. I've watched that movie probably way too many times than I should. But so I just think it's awfully funny that a lot of the ones that I liked back in the day, apparently
Well,
The Rock wants to play.
isn't there another one that you like that he was involved in the franchise with Brendan Fraser?
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
I forgot he was in that.
Exactly. He's in so many things. You can Mummy Returns.
Which The Mummy is getting a updated remake now.
Yeah, with Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom Cruise. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm going to call it right now. This franchise isn't going to work.
So you don't think the Universal Monsters franchise is going to go further than just The Mummy?
There is just something you could get away with, like in the 1950s and before, that you can't do now. Like, there's just a weird, I don't even know the best way to explain it. Almost like a horror fantasy element to these movies.
Well, you just brought up a very interesting point, is that these are not just nostalgic for us jumping back to the Brendan Fraser era of it, but they're nostalgic for people who would jump back to the earlier movies that they did.
Well, the original Mummy
Yeah.
was from the 1930s.
So I mean, this is nostalgia on nostalgia,
Right.
almost. So that's just as kind of interesting. I just wanted to point that out real quick. I'm sure it will come back up later with another monster.
I think it's iffy too that they're kind of going with like more of an action movie than a horror movie. I just don't know how I feel about it. I really think this franchise is doomed, but Hollywood prove me wrong and make good movies out of these. Because you're dealing with iconic characters.
And they're trying to bring I think that everything's trying to make a giant universe out of itself, too. But that's a discussion for another day on that.
I mean, there's Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And
I mean, they've had it before.
Like House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula had all the different characters in it. So, of course, either Boris Karloff or Bela Lugosi played pretty much everyone. So it'd be hard to cast the same actor that many times, but
so since I mentioned giant monsters, I know definitely from our monsters discussion we had in the way early days of the podcast that you're a fan of Godzilla and those monsters, and with that making a reemergence with of course Kong coming out and a sequel to Godzilla with I think a Versus coming out. What are your thoughts on that as being a nostalgic thing that you watched as a kid?
I mean, it's definitely nostalgic. Maybe a little too nostalgic because I can't like any. I don't know. I still say it's just a bad movie. The new Godzilla was a bad movie. Kong, I hope it's good. But they just did a remake like 10 years ago and now they're rebooting it again. And I just don't really think it's how movies should be made.
Peter Jackson.
But if it's good, it's good. Yeah. So, again, just prove me wrong and make good movies. I'd love to see Godzilla become fun again.
I didn't mind the new one personally. I think it could have used a lot more action, but I mean,
anyone who wants to know my opinions, listen to the previous podcast.
That would have been episode
3. I was like, I
episode
can't remember.
3.
Yeah,
that's episode 3.
Okay.
The Halloween special.
Something nostalgic that Hollywood loves to bring back are old horror franchises, and particularly slashers. And I
feel like those go on almost a cycle to where it seems like when one gets remade, they start remaking more and more.
Yeah, well, they remade Chainsaw, then Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Black Christmas, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I read online recently that the new reboot of Friday the 13th got canceled, which I, for one, am happy about, because they already did a remake, and it was so... Like, my thing really is, why do remakes when you could just do other sequels? Because half the time when I watch these, I feel like I'm just watching what could have been a possible sequel, but instead they're doing a remake. Friday the 13th, it wouldn't have taken much changes in the script to just make it another sequel. I really just felt like I was watching another Jason movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they could easily have Leatherface be in a different family in Texas and never explain why. They've done it in other sequels. On the same topic, a movie I watched recently was the new Blair Witch, and
I remember that. That was huge when I was younger. Like, it was one of those, you were the cool kid if you got to watch that movie.
And,
yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I was actually under the assumption that this was a remake since it was called Blair Witch, but it is actually a sequel to the Blair Witch Project. They acknowledged the events in the Blair Witch Project happened, and I just saw this movie so I could bash it later, but I was surprised. It was actually really good, and this is how they need to bring back horror franchises. Stop trying to remake it, just make good sequels.
But at the same point, didn't they get up to some double digits with Halloween and Friday the 13th?
Halloween, they got up to 8, I think. Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell was 9. Jason X was 10, but then there's also Freddy versus Jason, so I guess 11 before they remade it. But if they're gonna, I'd rather them just keep making more sequels than make a remake and then 5 years later make another remake. Especially when it's just, how many different ways can you find to make Jason kill teenagers in the woods? Like,
True.
the supposed remake really had nothing to do with the original movie. In fact, the original movie is kind of like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then they bring in Jason, and I don't know, it's just what they should have just, fitted in as a sequel. My personal thoughts.
So
And it's also, I think, why the reboot probably didn't work, because they realized they had nothing new to really throw at the franchise. Just
So-
a theory.
So why don't we move away from the horror aspect of this to maybe some of the happiest place on earth, Disney, and Disney's new campaign to remake our nostalgic childhood movies.
Oh, me, tag me.
Go for it.
Woo woo. So I'm a huge fangirl of Disney, if anybody knows me. And I, for one, am excited about this new stuff. I remember many times sitting around in my living room watching these movies as a kid going, oh, it'd be really cool if they were real, like real movies. And so one of the biggest ones coming out soon in March is Beauty and the Beast. Yes. So, and I know they're planning on doing Mulan and Little Mermaid, a bunch of other different ones. They've
And
done
they've
Jungle Book,
Yeah, they did Jungle Book, Cinderella. Would you count Maleficent technically, since that's sort of a remake, but from a different angle?
I was gonna say because it's from the evil queen side.
Yeah, it's from her point of view.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool because it kind of put it in perspective of like why she did what she did. So it was not that it was excusable, but but oh my gosh, I'm so excited about Beauty and the Beast. I've seen some clips.
Well, the most recent trailer was like a shot-for-shot remake of the original trailer.
Yeah, they would show images from the movie and then from the animation. And it was crazy how close they are to the source material.
Someone did a side-by-side where it had
Yes.
both of them, and it was like almost shot-for-shot.
I know. I can't even tell you how excited I am. So that aspect, when it comes to remakes and reboots, I'm actually... What I've seen so far has been pretty promising, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome. All right, so Rob, you got a few more before we close with one I think everyone can remember from their childhood.
Yeah, I haven't seen these yet, so I don't know for sure that they're going to be bad, but two that I am just not looking forward to. I understand they're remaking Suspiria, which anyone other than Argento trying to make an Argento movie is silly. And they're remaking An American Werewolf in London. John Landis directed the original. Max Landis will be directing the remake, I understand.
The original was awesome.
Yeah, just like, I watched it a few nights ago, and it still holds up. You can't... they did it right the first time. You can't do perfect twice.
One I wanted to mention, I mean, this was big for me as a kid, too. Because I actually got two. I forgot about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was something that,
Michael Bay?
Once again, we kind of go to that well again. But I really liked the cartoon as a kid. I mean, would it hold up now if I watched it?
It probably would if the new movie holds up compared, the new movie is more cartoonish than the cartoon.
I mean, I had fun watching the new stuff. Now, that's not me saying it's good. I just had fun watching it.
I think you have to look at the Turtles movies like you do Power Rangers. You're going into it for fun.
It's the exact same thing.
Yes,
almost.
exactly.
I'll admit it, I did kind of enjoy the second one, but Bebop and Rocksteady are more of cartoon characters than they are in the cartoon.
Well said.
And Casey Jones was just terrible.
So I guess we can sort of go on to another movie that's made a resurgence recently that I'm sure everyone remembers as a kid. Jurassic Park has made a resurgence with, of course, Jurassic World, and they're supposed to be doing a follow-up to that, which I find that interesting, personally.
Bring on more Chris Pratt.
Well, I know that's why you want to watch it, but I remember as a kid, like,
No, I love
remember
the
seeing
Jurassic
those
Park.
movies,
Yeah, I
and they
liked
were...
I made the comment about the adapting things off books earlier, and in all honesty, I don't think you could do a direct remake of Jurassic Park, even if the book is different, because that movie's too iconic.
Well, I'm using these because they're sort of re-emerging back into the public lexicon of, movies and everything, of a franchise that, hasn't had something in a very long time. They're obviously bringing back.
Well, are you saying that, like, when Jurassic World came out, maybe, 8, 10, 12-year-old boys, do you think they go back then and watch the original ones?
It's
because
definitely-
of
They
that?
should.
It's definitely possible. I mean, they make references to the originals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely make references to Jurassic Park and Lost World 3. I don't know. They kind of... It's debatable on whether... We could do an entire analyzation of that movie. On whether they actually do reference it or not, which I kind of think they... In my personal opinion, I feel like they kind of ignore the events of 3. Which is whatever.
No one's upset about it.
So, I mean, that was definitely a movie I remember watching as a kid. That was
Yeah.
like the first, like...
I saw
movie.
Jurassic Park in theaters for like my 6th birthday. One of the greatest movie theater experiences I've ever had.
Oh, speaking of which, I don't know why this popped in my head. I think they're trying to do The Lion King, too.
I'm sure. There's a bunch of them that they're trying to do. So
The problem with that is it's gonna be like CGI characters instead of animation. It's not like they can get real lions and warthogs to talk.
I mean,
They
They
did
did
a great
Jungle
job.
Book.
Yeah, they did a great job
Yeah.
in Jungle Book.
Well, there's
I mean,
at least one human being in the Jungle Book.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring that up because I know that one was one that they're possibly...
I haven't seen either of these though.
The Jungle Book or...
Jungle Book or well, I guess Beauty and the Beast isn't even out yet, is it?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
out yet. It's next month, but yeah.
It's coming in close. Woohoo! So, I guess with that, we're going to wrap up the discussion today. So, we'll see you guys on the other side of this break. This has been...
Zeng This.
Yeah. All right, welcome back. That was a fun topic to discuss, a nostalgic topic to discuss.
Sorry. You're so cheesy.
And your cheesy laugh made it even worse.
We're just cheesy together.
I know. So, before we wrap things up, we have a little quick announcement to make. Don't forget that next week will be a read this on the first volume of Copperhead. So make sure
yes.
to get that and read it.
So excited.
you wanna
Please
follow.
read it. It's awesome.
And definitely check out next episode. On the topic of future episodes, the first episode... episode 1.
Right.
This is really confusing to say it this way.
Yes.
Episode 1 in our second episode of the Star Wars special we're doing.
Correct.
So covering episode 1, but the second episode will be out before our next episode comes out. So before next Monday, it will be out. It's probably going to be out either Thursday or Friday. I'm not giving an exact date. We still have to finalize a few more things on it, but that will be out. So look forward to that discussion on the episode 1 of Star Wars. So
Yep.
Yay for that.
Yay.
And before we run down, plugging all of our stuff, we're gonna give a shout out real quick to a listener of ours who did a 5-star review on iTunes.
I'm so excited.
So if you listen to us on iTunes, give us a 5-star review and we will read it on the podcast. So
Yes.
Ellie, if you would.
It said, good pop culture podcast from, is it Cosmo?
I'm assuming Cosmo Family.
Somo family?
I'm gonna go with Cosmo Family.
Okay, we're going to go with Cosmo family. Please let us know if we did it wrong. They put the hosts have really good chemistry and this is a fun listen. I cannot thank you enough for that. That is so awesome.
Yes, thank you for giving us a 5-star review. If you want to give us a 5-star review, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it. It helps our podcast out a lot to help us get noticed and get more fans. And we love interacting with the fans. And great ways to interact with us are through, of course, you can listen to us on SoundCloud.
Zing This.
And you can also listen to us on iTunes and hopefully give us a 5-star review and we'll read it on the
Yay.
podcast.
Zing This.
And you can also find us, of course, on Stitcher and Tuned In and Google Play as well. So there's those. If you want to join our Facebook fan page, you can go to Zeng This. If you want to tweet at us, you can go to
Zing This.
You can also find us on Instagram at Zeng This Podcast. And we post little pictures and stuff on there. We're getting some more stuff on there, so exciting. If you want to watch us play some games, we are trying to get a regular schedule down to where you can check us out. Also, another benefit is you'll get to hear about what might be on the upcoming podcast if we haven't revealed the topic, because we might have a little discussion about it then.
Yeah.
But that's twitch.tv/Zeng This. You can also, of course, find our YouTube page as well. Just search Zeng This on YouTube. We need to get to 100 followers on there so we can actually have it be just youtube.com/Zeng This. So help us with that as well. Finally, if you want to help contribute to the podcast, you can, of course, find us on
Patreon. And you go to patreon.com/Zing This.
And finally, if you want to get a hold of us directly, you can, of course, tweet at us or you can email us directly.
Zingthis@gmail.com.
Awesome. It's been another fun week, so thanks, guys. We will see you on the podcast next week when we discuss Copperhead.
Yes.
With that, DJ Golden Boy 89, play us out.